Okay, we need to talk about Ash Trevino because the energy around this situation has completely changed. This is no longer internet chatter. This is not just people reacting. This is not just messy lives and comment sections going crazy. This time, it's court. And when something moves from social media into a courtroom, the rules change, the standards change, the tone changes, because now it's not about who can talk the loudest, it's about what can be proven. The court is asking for evidence. And once that word enters the conversation, evidence, everything gets heavier. If Ash has been operating in a space where chaos equals attention and attention equals money, this is the moment where that formula stops working the way it used to. None of this is random. None of this is out of nowhere. Because Ash didn't just wake up one day and magically spawn inside a courtroom storyline. This has been building in real time, in public, with a front row seat for everyone who's been watching. She's built an online reputation around high drama moments, and that don't mean the normal, life is messy stuff. I mean the kind of messy that feels chosen, the kind that always happens in the most public places possible. Always outside, always at somebody's bar, always at somebody's celebration, always up late on live like sleep is a conspiracy and peace is optional. And it's not subtle. The goal is attention. The louder it is, the better it performs. The more people react, the more the story feeds itself. Because the second something pops off, it doesn't get handled quietly, it gets turned into content. The chaos becomes an episode, the reaction becomes the marketing, the fallout becomes the rollout. And then it gets packaged like, y'all don't understand. Let me clear this up. Everybody's lying on me. Meanwhile, the comments are doing the promo, the stitches are doing the distribution, and the drama is doing the monetization. Everybody's working for free except the person who started the mess. That's been the cycle. Do something loud, let the internet explode, hop online and spin it, and then act shocked when people have opinions about the thing you did publicly on purpose. And normally, that cycle works because the internet treats it like entertainment. People laugh, argue, jog, refresh, move on. It's a show. But when you're moving like that while you're dealing with an open criminal case, the vibe eventually flips. Because people stop watching it like it's a show and start watching it like a file. Like, hold on, save that, screen record that, keep that timestamp, don't let this disappear. And once the audience switches from entertained to irritated, it gets different. People aren't reacting because it's funny anymore. They are reacting because they feel played, like the chaos is being used over and over as strategy. So this is what happened here. The exact same Clout loop she's been running, but this time it ran straight into the one place where the performance doesn't matter and excuses don't hit: the court. Ash was arrested for welfare and healthcare fraud, and the way the charges are being discussed, it's not even framed like some tiny little mix up that happened once. It's being talked about as a stretch from 2019 through 2024, with allegations that her income wasn't incorrectly reported during that time.
Scroll on the FYP and I see that Ash Trevino's bond may get revoked. Someone filed a motion today for her bond to be revoked because she's been out here just drinking and doing who knows what else on live, going all over the states, everywhere, living it up. She had a birthday party. She was crazy stuff. And we've seen her on live until like 6 o'clock in the morning and sometimes so. But yeah, he wants to revoke her bond. If he does that, then she probably won't get bond again until her next court date. Kind of like Memphis, like he has to go back tomorrow. So yeah, so if her stuff gets revoked, so this, I guess, waits for the judge to sign off on this. If he does sign off. So if he does sign off on this, then she's gone until the next court date.
So no, this isn't giving, oops, paperwork. This is giving. The state thinks you were consistently not reporting what you were supposed to report. That's the lane that the case is sitting in. And then she posted a $15,000 bond on December 18th, 2025. Now let's be clear, because people love acting brand new about what a bond is. Like it's some VIP wristband that means you can just go back to business as usual. Posting bond does not mean you beat the case. It does not mean you won. It doesn't magically erase what you're charged with. It means you're out conditionally while your case is still pending. And conditionally is doing a lot of work here. It means the court is basically saying, we are going to let you stay outside for now, but only if you can behave. Only if you can follow the rules we gave you. Only if you can stop acting like you're allergic to boundaries. Because bond is not freedom. It's more like freedom with a receipt attached. Like the court is watching you from a distance like, don't make us come get you.
Now, Trevino was arrested a while ago for welfare fraud. Now, she wants you to believe that when her children's father passed away in, I think, 2023, 2024, she was just automatically given food stamps and Medicaid. That's absolutely not how that works. And her story doesn't even add up because the charges go all the way back from 2019 to 2024, where she did not correctly report her income. She was arrested and then posted a $15,000 bond, and she is currently out on bond. Okay. When you post bond, you have a list of things that you have to do in order to remain out on bond. The most common, I think, which are just kind of natural, right? You can't, you can't have any rings. You can't use any substances. You cannot be around any ammunition, weapons, any of that type of stuff. And a lot of times they'll put in some other stuff, but those are really the general ones. Oh, and also you cannot have any other contact with law enforcement, breaking other crimes, whatever the case may be. Well, allegedly, this is what the report says, is that for her birthday, she was out at a bar and she was having some drinks. So that's a violation. If it was just that, I don't think it would be that big of a deal. I think they'd probably lock her back up, increase her bond, whatever. But allegedly, she also posted a picture of her holding a semi-automatic pew-pew. That could be a very big deal. A very big deal. Also, she also had police contact. Now, again, I don't know if that is, I'm not from Texas. I don't know Texas. I don't know how it works. I know in my state, that is a general thing, is you cannot have police contact. That doesn't mean get arrested, whatever. But she did have police contact. Remember when she told Fester's ex that, well, when I pull up, when we come pick up the daughter, whatever the case may be, come out, whatever. Well, listen, Fester's ex is bad about it. She came out, and Ashley did what it would do, right? No, stay strapped in, don't touch me, and Fester did 911, and so the police showed up. So technically that could be considered police contact if they have the same rules. Again, I'm not in Texas, I don't know the rules, so I don't know. But for sure what's going to go against her is that out drinking and posting that picture. Listen, I cannot express it enough. If you're going to be dumb and break the violations of your bond, don't do it on social media. Unless actually you're really trying to hide from Fester's ex-wife that bad to where you're willing to do whatever you can do to get a seat for a little bit. Actually, I just found out today that everyone doesn't call going to jail having a seat. So going to jail. Put it that way. Out here, we either say you're going to have a seat or you're going up the road. That's what we call. But nonetheless, whatever. So she may be going back to jail for a while. People then ask me, like, what's going to happen? Is she going to get rearrested? Whatever. She could. She obviously very well, the bonds agency could come and pick her back up. She'd be smart to turn herself in to save some embarrassment from getting rearrested. She can go turn herself back in. What will the judge say? Well, it could be two things, right? Either obviously rearrest and then increase her bond, or again, have a seat until trial. And then, but let's just say that they're going to increase her bond. The bond agency can say, yeah, no, you didn't listen the first time. And she can then go to a different bond agency and they can either say, sure, we'll take a chance on it. Or they say, you know what? You are a risk because you choose not to listen. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Again, shout out to Carol C. for bringing this information to the tickety-tockety streets. We appreciate it. Again, I will always give credit where credit is due because that is where the information was sent to me from. So we will see. This is all going to play out within probably this next week or two. We're going to start getting a lot of information. This was just filed today, so it's gonna go quick. But if you have any questions on how this whole bond stuff works, again, I can only give you general information because it was not in my state. I don't know how it works in other states, but I'm always happy to help and give as much information as I can. So any other questions, put them in the comments, let me know. Also, let me know, what do you think's going to happen? Do you think she's just going to get an increased bond? Do you think she'll be out on her own recognizances? Do you think that she's going to have a seat for a little bit? Do you think she'll sit in jail until trial? Do you think that they'll hold her for a certain amount of time? What do you think is going to happen based on?
And in this situation, the rules tied to that bond aren't confusing. They are not vague. They are not, well, it depends. They are the kind of rules you can understand in one read. She was not allowed to purchase, possess, or use controlled substances. She was not allowed to consume alcohol. She was not allowed to possess or be around firearms. That is it. That's the list.
Ashley Trevino is going back to jail because she violated the terms of her bond on her birthday. Last month, she had her birthday and she celebrated big and bad. And she went to this bar, and the day after, she had this party at her house. The cops got called. Well, there had been people who were taking screenshots, video recordings, and emailing her bondsman and then posting about it on TikTok. And I know I was part of the people who were telling everyone, you're emailing the wrong people. You need to email the district clerk, the district attorney. To everyone who listened and did what they were supposed to do, Ash is actually going back to jail because they have enough evidence that determined that she violated the terms of her bond. It clearly stated, and I know I've made content about this, that in her bond, she was not supposed to consume, purchase, or even be around any sort of adult beverages, controlled substance, or fire. Not only did people take pictures and screen recordings of her consuming adult beverages, but they also had a really awful photo of her and this girl, and they were holding a fire. Shout out to Carol C. She's the one who broke the news. I honestly have so much content that I'm pushing out that I forgot about this.
And I need people to understand how serious that is, because some folks talk about bond conditions like they are optional, like they are a polite suggestion. They are not. These are court-ordered conditions while the case is still open, which means if you decide to move like you're above them, the court can decide you don't need to be outside anymore. And not even in a dramatic way either. Courts don't do the whole back and forth thing. They don't care about your explanation style. They care about whether you followed what you were told to follow. So when we say she's out on bond, what we are really saying is she is out on borrowed time and borrowed trust. And the only job she had was to not do the exact things the court had told her not to do. In January 2026, while out on bond, Ash decided to celebrate her birthday. And not in a quiet, low-key, let me stay out of trouble way. Because apparently, that concept does not live here. According to what was circulating, she went to a local bar for the birthday celebration. Then, the very next day, there was a house party. And at that house party, police were called. So already, just of that timeline, you can see how fast this went from birthday weekend to, okay, so we're doing this while we're on bond? Because that's the part that people keep sidestepping. This wasn't happening in a vacuum. This was happening under court conditions.
Y'all, they are not playing with Ash Trevino. Earlier today, it had already came out that the state had subpoenaed Nacho Average Bar and Grill, basically trying to get evidence that Ash was violating her bond. Well, not only did they subpoena them, there was another subpoena sent out for Saltgrass Steakhouse. The state is basically asking that steakhouse to turn over any type of evidence about Ash Trevino being a customer there, whether it's videos, recordings, etc. And again, the steakhouse only has until February 27th, 2026 to provide this documentation to them. And the state is requesting that the time frames from December 18th, 2025 to February 24th, 2026 are included in the evidence that they are requesting. Long story short is this does not sound good for her. It sounds like they are absolutely trying to collect any and all evidence that they can against her. And it sounds like they are taking this very, very serious, which I guess just comes with territory when you try to fraud the government. But as always, let's talk about this one in the comments. Let me know what y'all think.
And the reason this birthday weekend became a problem is because there were images and videos circulating that show her consuming alcohol during that celebration. Which I'm not even going to do the whole, well, maybe thing, because the court isn't going to care about the theatrics. If the condition is no alcohol and the documentation shows alcohol, that's the kind of math a judge understands instantly. Then there is also an image being discussed that allegedly shows her holding a firearm while she was still under those bond conditions. And if that allegation is true, that's not a little oops. That's the kind of move that makes people look at you like you're either reckless or you genuinely think rules don't apply to you. On top of that, there is a situation involving police presence connected to a dispute with someone referred to as Fasters X. The way it's described is that 911 was called and officers responded. Now, even if there was no arrest in that moment, that doesn't automatically make it harmless, because depending on what the court ordered, even police contact can matter when you're out on bond. So, what started as birthday content very quickly turned into a list of potential bond violations. The exact type of thing that gets you dragged out of the internet and into a courtroom where your explanations don't hit the same.
If I were her, I would ask the attorney, do you think maybe I should get off social media? Do you think I should, chill out? Do you think maybe while I'm praying in the parking lot on TikTok that I do it in my room also, alone, and come on back to Jesus, because this life isn't working for you? It's not. I mean, that part has nothing to do with the attorney part, but she should probably go talk to her attorney and be like, hey man, I think I should make some lifestyle changes. So I don't see anything set in that matter yet. I mean, this literally was just filed yesterday, so I'm sure they'll get that on the docket soon. I mean, I don't know that it necessarily means they're going to jail. I think in this case, what it basically means is that you're not you're not paying enough. Your bond wasn't high enough. So basically, she's going to end up having to pay more money. Which isn't to say the judge can't impose stricter conditions, but this isn't the same thing as a motion to revoke. So,
And this is the part that really cooked her, because the internet didn't just watch, the internet started saving. And when I say saving, I mean saving like they're building a little scrapbook called Choices and Consequences. People weren't just in the comments yelling, OMG, and then going to bed. No, screenshots got grabbed, lives got screen recorded, posts got archived. The kind of saving where, even if you delete it later, it's already sitting in somebody's camera roll, backed up, reposted, and labeled with a date like it's a whole exhibit. And it didn't stop at, I saw it. It moved into, I'm sending it. Because people started emailing the appropriate officers with receipts attached. Not opinions, not vibes, not I feel like, but actual documentation. Like, hey, just so you know, this is what's happening. And then boom, screenshots, screen recordings, timestamps. That's why they stopped being a regular TikTok scandal. Because normally, social media drama is loud for 48 hours. Everybody argues, and then the algorithm drags us to the next mess. But this one got pushed into official channels, the kind where you can't just hop on live, cry a little, say you were misunderstood, and reset the narrative.
As Trevino's attorney has responded to the motion to revoke her bond, let's get into this. So basically, Fiona Trevino is denying. So it says defendant denies each and every allegation contained in the state's motion and demands strict proof, therefore. So basically, they're saying you need to prove that my client violated her bond. Now, they're also saying no good insufficient cause exists. So basically, they're saying that there's no real reason of why they're trying to revoke her bond. They're also saying that the state hasn't said specifically what made them think that they could revoke her bond. So basically, they need to specify exactly when, where, or what did she do to really revoke her bond. Now, the bail must not be oppressive. So basically, what they're saying and they're reminding the judge is bail is only supposed to make sure someone shows up to court. It cannot be used to punish someone before trial. An increase in it just to make it harder for her would be illegal. So basically, they're saying don't use the bond as a punishment tool. Now, this line is interesting. Less restrictive alternatives exist. So basically, they're giving other options. You can either put her in an electric monitor, like an ankle monitor, extra reporting requirements, or nearly tailored conditions to about, so add more conditions. Basically, if you're worried, add more conditions, but don't throw her albondiga ass back to jail. And of course, they're requesting for a full hearing. The state must be present to sworn testimony, which we know, and basically bring all the receipts that she has violated her bond. And then the last page says, deny the state's motions to hold bond insufficient, maintain the current bond and conditions. In the alternative, modify conditions in lieu of revocation and grant defendant all other relief to which she may be justly entitled. So to recap, she's basically saying she didn't do nothing. You guys don't have proof of anything you guys are saying. So we shall see. I'll be live tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific time to read everything.
And here's the part people need to understand. When you're in bond, your online life is not just content. It is a trial. Every post, every live, every picture, every I was just outside for a second becomes part of a timeline. And if the alleged violations are sitting across TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, you're not just dealing with hate, you're handing people a record. Because courts can't access social media, period. Judges and prosecutors don't need to believe the internet. They don't need to pick sides in the comment war. They look at what's been documented, what's been posted, what's been preserved, and what can be verified. So once it hits that stage, the performance doesn't matter anymore. The captions don't matter. The excuses don't matter. You can't charisma your way out of a timeline. The second it turns into a file, it's no longer tea, it's evidence. A motion was filed by the state of Texas asking the court to revoke her bond. And I need y'all to hear how different that is from regular internet drama. Because this isn't people are mad. This is the state saying, on paper, Judge, we don't think she should be out. The filing points back to the original welfare and healthcare fraud arrest and the $15,000 bond posted on December 18th, 2025. Basically, reminding the court, this is the case, these are the terms, and here's why we're back in your face about it. It also spells out what the conditions were while the case is pending. No alcohol, no controlled substances, no firearms. Simple, clear, not up for interpretation.
It was all a lie. Ashley Trevino is not going back to jail, according to some people on this app. But let me show you something. It literally takes $0 and zero effort to get on the website and look yourself at everything. You don't even have to pay for it. You just click view and you could view the actual file, document, and everything. Now I'm going to say this. This account made a threat to me saying that I just jumped on the rumor mill, that nothing was true, and that I have a surprise coming and they can't wait to keep doing what I am doing. This is clearly a fake profile, and I'm going to say this. Come with it today, honey. I don't like surprises. Come with it today.
I don't hide behind a fake profile. I am not a scary bee. When you say you have a surprise for me, I feel like that's a threat, and I have kids and I don't take that lightly. So come with it today. Social media is not that deep. It takes zero effort, to look for yourself on the website and see. But people are saying, oh, because TMZ didn't cover it, it's not real. The courts literally filed their motion. So before you jump on a fake profile and say that people are lying, I suggest you do your own research as well. Nobody said she was in jail, but she definitely could be.
And then the motion lays out the claim that in January 2026, while she's out on that bond, she went to a birthday celebration at a local bar and consumed alcohol, which, if proven, is a direct violation of the bond conditions. It also notes that the alleged violations were posted numerous times across social media platforms: TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, meaning there isn't just a he said, she said situation floating around. The state is pointing at a public trail and saying, it's been out there, it's been recorded, it's been reposted. And the court set a hearing to determine whether her bond should be held insufficient. Now, that wording is important because people hear motion and immediately jump to she's automatically going back. Not exactly. A motion to hold bond insufficient isn't the same as an instant revocation, but it is the state saying the current bond amount and or conditions aren't cutting it anymore given what they are alleging. So when this goes back to hearing, the court has options. If the judge agrees with the state, outcomes can look like revocation and rearrest, an increase in bond amount, stricter conditions like electronic monitoring, or detention until the next court date. Either way, the big shift is this. The conversation is no longer, is this messy? The conversation is, did you violate court conditions and what is the court going to do about it? Her attorney responded by basically hitting the big red deny button on everything and demanding strict proof. And that's not even shade. That's literally how this works. The defense is saying, you're accusing my client of violating a bond? Cool. Prove it. Not, everybody on the internet saw it. Not, it's going viral. Not, people are saying. Prove it the way court requires proof. They are also arguing there is no sufficient cause to revoke the bond, meaning you don't just get to snatch somebody's bond because the internet is mad or because the story looks ugly. The state has to show the court a real reason that meets the standard. And then they bring up a key principle that a lot of people don't understand. Bail must not be oppressive. Translation in normal people language: bail isn't supposed to be a punishment before trial. It is not supposed to be a let's make you suffer early tool. It's supposed to do one main job: make sure you show up to court. So the defense is basically reminding the judge, you can't treat bond like a pre-trial sentence. You can't crank it up or revoke it just to punish someone while the case is still pending. And then they pivot to the, okay, if you're worried, there are other options. Argument, the less restrictive alternatives. Because instead of revoking bond outright, they're saying the court could tighten the leash without cutting it completely. Things like an anchor monitor, extra reporting requirements, more narrowly tailored conditions, which is their way of saying, if the court wants more control, fine, add conditions, but don't automatically throw her back in as the fast solution. And they are requesting a full hearing with sworn testimony and formal proof from the state. In other words, don't do this off vibes. Don't do this off headlines. Bring the evidence into the courtroom, put it on the record, and let it be tested. So legally, it's not, she's automatically going to jail. It is, the state is saying she violated bond, and the defense is saying, okay, then show it in court the correct way. And this is where it leaves the alleged chart and walks into the show me the footage part of the story, because subpoenas were issued. Not a think piece, not a stitch, not somebody say they had. A subpoena, the kind of paper that basically tells you you're not being asked, you're being required. Nacho Average Bar and Grill was subpoenaed for records and video evidence covering December 18th, 2025 to February 24th, 2026. Saltgrass Steakhouse was subpoenaed for records and evidence covering that same exact window. And I want you all to clock the dates because this is not a random, just a birthday night request. They are pulling a range, a span, a whole stretch of time tied to when she posted bond and what happened after. That's the court saying, we're not guessing, we're checking. And the purpose is pretty straightforward. The court is trying to determine whether she consumed alcohol while under court ordered restrictions. So, what's being requested isn't just tell us what you think happened, it's records, it's camera footage, and potentially staff testimony. And that's a different level of pressure because a bar's surveillance footage doesn't care about your captions. A restaurant record doesn't care about your explanation voice. If there is footage, it's footage. If there is a record, it's a record. There is also discussion that additional documentation could be reviewed too, including what's been posted online, which makes sense because if your whole life has been a public diary, the court can absolutely treat it like a timeline. On top of that, 19 new documents were reportedly filed, including a document labeled P9. And when businesses are subpoenaed, they are legally required to comply. This isn't a if you feel like it request. They have to respond. So at this point, we're not in speculation territory anymore. This isn't the internet thinks. This is the court is collecting. It becomes a matter of record. If the court determines that she violated her bond conditions, consequences could include rearrest, increased bond, stricter monitoring, or detention until trial. If the court does not find sufficient proof, the bond may remain in place, possibly with modified conditions. But the larger issue is this. The same visibility that built her platform is now the visibility being examined in a courtroom. Every live, every post, every image, those don't disappear just because the narrative changes. And once the court is involved, it is not about spin, it's about documentation. This isn't just messy anymore. It's procedural, it's documented, and it's being measured in a courtroom, not a comment section.